My name is David Kuhn. I work at the Albuquerque Rescue Mission as a building mechanic. I love anything mechanical, so HVAC, electrical, I have an aptitude for construction. If it runs on electricity or gasoline, I can probably fix it. When I got done with college, my little college stint, I bounced around for a little bit, trying different things, and then I was offered a position to start working at Intel on a pipe fitting crew. And so I went out there and started having success running crews. And so I got a taste for the high-tech environment, high-tech construction, and what it was like to be in that environment. I had an opportunity again to work for a construction management firm. And about a year into it, I was offered an opportunity to travel, which was singularly the biggest mistake I've ever made in my entire life. A lot of guys with what I thought were healthy marriages cheating on their wives when I was on the road. It was just a bad environment, lots of money, lots of temptation. I was making insane money, right? That's when I started really having this desire for things and possessions and money, and I mixed that with alcohol and womanizing, and it just kind of took off from there. What was guiding me was this desire for money and influence, and nothing godly, nothing holy, nothing righteous. Signed on with another company out of Dallas. Every other weekend, every weekend I was coming back here and trying to play husband and father, and then I'd go back to Dallas and I was running work, and eventually it just wore me down, wore me out. I guess you would classify it as a mental breakdown. I spent a week in a hotel room trying to kill myself. A good friend of mine that was my safety manager on my project finally came over to my hotel and basically talked me off the ledge. Took the gun out of my hand. My mom and dad came out and picked me up and grabbed my car and brought me back here, and so I was on disability for 3 months. About the time that my disability was running out, a buddy of mine in Arizona called me up and said, "Hey, we've got a spot for you if you want to come out to Arizona." I had made up my mind, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to make some changes. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to try to figure out, what my headspace is, and that didn't happen, right? Because I was trying to do it on my own. I didn't have any spiritual guidance. I didn't have a relationship with God. I hadn't admitted that I truly needed help, that I needed a different way of living, a different way of thinking, a different way of life. The company I was working for was pretty tired of my shenanigans because I had, started a fairly sizable project and wasn't getting it off to a real good start because I was spending so much time womanizing and drinking and partying. So pretty much gave me a memorandum that, either quit or go to New York. So I decided to go to New York, and again, made myself a myriad of promises that I promptly broke, and decided one day I didn't want to go to work, and picked up a bottle, got in the car, went for a drive. That day I got into a very minor accident while I was blacked out. And that cost me my job, my income, my family. It pretty much finished everything. I woke up one day and just decided to walk, just to leave, be done with it. And finally found myself sleeping under a bridge in a rainstorm in the middle of downtown Schenectady. I was really at my end. I was at the end. I had hit rock bottom. And this kid comes along and asked me why I'm sleeping on a bench when the mission was right around the road. Go to the mission, they'll give you a place to sleep and they'll feed you. And so I went over there, and from that moment when I walked in there, my life changed. My urge to drink, my addiction to alcohol was lifted, it was taken away. God put his hand on me and put me on a new road. I made application to join the program, didn't really understand what it was, didn't know what discipleship was, didn't know who God was, and like I said, didn't have a relationship with him, obviously. But I started in the program with an open mind because I felt safe. I felt like I was someplace where I needed to be, where I should be, and I was still. I just let myself be still for the first time probably in my entire life. I just absorbed everything, and it was an amazing process. Absolutely, positively changed my life. So I started to rebuild myself, and 3 months into it, my face shows up on the news. My sister had posted a missing persons report. She refused to believe that I was dead. You know, my counselor told me, well, you've got to contact the police, you know, because they're looking for you and we need to get this resolved. So I knew full well as soon as I contacted them that I would, you know, have to stand tall for the crimes that I had committed. So I went back before the judge, and, you know, he was irritated because I had skipped out and told me, well, you're going to sit in jail for 2 weeks while we puzzle this out while I'm on vacation. So sat for 2 weeks in jail. I'd never been, you know, crossways with the law. I spent that 2 weeks getting close to God, listening to what he had to say. A couple weeks later, I had my hearing, and all my charges were dismissed. The city of Albany had not filed any of my counts properly, so everything was just gone. And so that was the second miracle in about 4 months that I'd experienced. One, you know, going to the mission and, you know, finding a place of refuge and a place where I could learn and grow, and then lifting that burden from me, from the penalties that I so richly deserved, that I know in my heart I deserved, but he saw fit to lift all that from me. You know, I was taken back in the program. They'd saved everything for me, and I just continued on my path. You know, I learned some pretty amazing things from some really amazing people. And that's where I learned what it means to serve without thinking of yourself, and without being selfish, and without being prideful, which historically had been my watchwords, which were what I lived and breathed, was pride and selfishness. Obviously, I took all these lessons and everything that I was being taught, and developed this relationship with God, and understanding what it meant to be a father because of what he had done for me, and also taking the example of what my own biological father had done for me. In all this time, after I got out of jail, I'd been working on the relationships with my family and my son and my ex-wife, and, you know, making inroads into repairing those relationships. And I think I went a long ways into repairing almost all those relationships by the time that, you know, God changed the plan, said it's time to go home. At Albuquerque International Airport on September 26th, it was truly the prodigal son coming home. I was welcomed with open arms by my family, and I got to see my sons. It's been good, it's been joyous, and it's been a blessing every day that I've been back. I didn't have any plans for when I came back. I knew that I needed to find a job. I got on the website for the Albuquerque Rescue Mission because I knew they had their AGRM certification. So that makes them a sister mission to the city mission in Schenectady. I came across the job opening on the website, and 3 interviews later, I was hired. I have to underline this, and I have to be very careful when I say this. This was not through my own power that this happened. I did not do this because I woke up one day and decided to do it. There were many days that I had done that in the past, and I failed miserably because I had tried to do it on my own. When I was reborn, when I was renewed, that gave me the strength to turned 180 degrees away from the lifestyle that I had led. It's about making Jesus famous. It's not about making us famous. It's about making Jesus famous.